Hello everyone, Braden Kelly of blogginginnovation.com here today with Neil Blakesley of BT Americas. Just wanted to have the chance to chat with Neil and ask him a few questions about innovation within BT. The first question I'd like to ask is, what do you see as the most exciting innovation coming in telecommunications that will reach businesses potentially in the next 12 to 18 months?
I think definitely the most exciting innovation is going to be the cloud. So we've talked about it for a long time. What's going to go in the cloud? Will companies put it into the cloud? Will individuals put their information into the cloud? And I don't think anybody really believed that large organizations would actually get it done. But I think you'll find that Capgemini in the next 2 weeks will announce a Forbes 500 company that is actually taking on Google Apps. And they're going to build that into their infrastructure, their overall applications infrastructure. And I think once one large organization makes that jump, then I think our numbers will start to follow. So we may see the emergence of private clouds before we get to a public cloud. So organizations asking organizations like BT to create a private cloud for them. So go into that internet, allow them to put transactions in and take transactions out. And once they feel comfortable with that, maybe over time then there's going to be the ability to create the true public cloud that everybody's talking about. But I think at the moment the security risks are still there, the ownership issues are still there. So I think for a while private clouds will emerge, then public clouds. But it's great that a Forbes 500 company is making the jump, and so we think that that'll be a trailblazer for other companies.
Oh, very good. Security is always a big concern of big companies, especially as they look to move things out. Yeah. Next thing I'd like to ask you is, what have been some of the greatest successes that BT has had outside of the UK, particularly when it comes to innovation?
Okay. BT's in over 120 countries in terms of physical people. We actually reach 170 countries for all of our customers. And in a lot of our countries outside the UK, we don't have a lot of physical offices. So what we've tended to do is have a lot of home workers. Now, some parts of Europe and other areas, that's been a real change in the way that people work, because they're used to coming to offices, collaborating, a far more gregarious culture perhaps than in the UK. So one of the things that we have done is to take a building that actually is a UK building and create that UK building in Second Life. And then what we've done for a lot of our home workers is to create avatars for them, whereas instead of just getting on a conference call, they can agree and book a meeting room in Second Life in this BT building where they can physically turn up, have the same level of interaction, but it enriches that experience. It gives them back a sense of community. It gives them back a sense of belonging to a business as opposed to just sitting at home on the phone or on their PC or laptop. But rather than just the meeting rooms, we've then created a cafeteria where people can go and hang out in the cafeteria. We've even then created a concert hall where some training goes on, but we've also arranged for those guys to receive a concert in Second Life, but they go to it as a work social event. And also, because of the nature of the building, it's 24 hours. So literally we find that UK people, European people, Asian people kind of come out and dip back in again. So really it's been a way of working that I think that we've been able to develop for our own staff, but also it's a great study when we go and talk to customers about what they can do for their remote workers and their home workers.
Right, and that's a growing trend to have more and more workers outside the traditional office as commuting costs increase and congestion increases.
It's true, but I think a lot of people think it's going to be great because we had to drop their kids off and watch daytime TV and just be flexible with their day. However, there's a lot of concerns that productivity gets lost because people are a little bit lax perhaps in coming back online, or indeed that they miss that sense of community though with their colleagues. So they miss the ability to go to lunch, they miss the ability to share ideas quickly and get some feedback, the whole water cooler issue. So this attempt at putting this building into Second Life is there really to kind of retain the benefits of home working, but again put back that sense of community.
Well, it sounds like a very interesting way to pull people together. Well, that leads right into the next question. So what do you feel is unique about BT's approach to collaboration and innovation?
Well, I think we've got a fantastic history in innovation. I think for those of you that don't know, hypertexting or the hypertexting links, the little blue links that we all live and die for, that was a BT invention. The strange thing about BT is we then forgot to patent it. So, and although we tried to do it a few years ago, that didn't go down particularly well, but it shows that we've got a history of innovation. We've got a fantastic site in Adastral Park down in Ipswich in the UK, but at the same time we've got MIT labs where BT are present. So we've got a real attempt there to drive innovation and collaboration both from the UK and the US. However, for a long time that was a very closed environment. We were kind of in our bunker developing these ideas, and we thought that we were the only ones that could come up with those ideas. But we've seen that really by working with other people, working with other companies, working with other individuals, those ideas are generally richer and come to market faster. So now in our MIT labs and in our Adastral labs, we've now got an additional 32 companies, basically with 1 or 2 or even 3 or 4 people in small teams working inside our labs, working with each other, working with BT. So really this move to open collaboration, not necessarily opening it up around the world for individuals, but at least opening it up to an ecosystem of a number of companies, has meant that from one organisation we're now at 32 organisations, collaborating every day, to a certain extent competing every day, teams within teams trying to solve these solutions quicker. And also I think there's a benefit around collaboration, that it does include, or does encourage rather, a sense of teamwork, but also a sense of competition. And actually those types of people that do collaborate quickly do find that they naturally want to compete. So we're finding that we're bringing things to market a little quicker than perhaps we used to do.
That's great. Well, competition is always fun. It's always good to have a challenge in front of you. Last thing I wanted to ask you is, in relation to that, is do you feel that incentives have a real impact in driving innovation?
Sure. I think they do, but I think you have to keep them fresh. So lots of companies have a big ideas bucket, or a let's, be innovative and come up with your innovation ideas today, and they go through a fairly long and rigorous process, and then maybe 1 or 2 get adopted. But sometimes they get stale, everything from a cardboard box with an ideas to a well-crafted website, but after a while they get a little old. So we've done 2 things. First of all, for a major prize, where somebody's come up with either innovation or a great idea, we award a cash prize of £30,000 sterling, which is a fairly hefty sum, and we've worked it out that it's the average salary of a UK individual. So therefore we're giving away an average year's money, if you like, to a BT person in the UK and elsewhere. But then also what we did was we looked for a vehicle where we could promote competition within the incentive. And in the UK there's a program called the Dragon's Den. Mm-hmm. And the Dragon's Den, I think they have that in the US as well.
Yes.
But it's huge in the UK, and the idea is that people come in off the street and they pitch for innovation money or development money to 4 or 5 entrepreneurs, and they will then give them that money and they go off and develop their own idea. So we created the same thing inside BT, and in fact inside Global Services. So we had 4 or 5 people, 6 people coming along, 5 minutes each with their idea, pitching to a panel of 3 people for inside the business. Now, we had a development fund, so we could allocate money, and in fact, in the first 2 times that we ran it, where we had 12 submissions, 2 people then left their day job to pursue that idea that they came up with that we funded. And so we treated them almost as startups, and those individuals went on to in effect run their own small idea business. Then it got a little stale, because we'd done it over probably 3 or 4 or 5 months, and again we went back to Second Life. And so we created avatars whereby it was a mixture of live video and Second Life, where you started out with a panel of being interviewed normally, and then you would say, okay, let's go into the Dragon's Den to really flesh this idea out. And then we created literally a castle with fire-breathing dragons and whatever, avatars for our senior executives who then moved behind a desk, and then avatars of people coming in and pitching their idea. And it's still around today. We still use it today, and it was a great use of kind of live video, where you looked then as though you were morphing, if you like, from your real self into this Dragon's Den environment. And then we showed it on the intranet, and it became the most popular site on our intranet for 3 or 4 months, because people didn't really associate BT with A Second Life or B Dragon's Den or whatever. So I think the whole idea is absolutely incentivisation's good, but you've got to keep it fresh. So look for a hook, look for something that's going on right now that you can leverage to kind of reinvigorate people, whether it be America's Got Talent or American Idol. They're a little bit passé, but they're things that are capturing the public imagination that you can attach this to, and therefore you keep the situation and you keep the topic fresh.
And again, this is Braden Kelly of blogginginnovation.com with Neil Blakesley of BT Americas.